Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Film Frequency. I am one of your hosts, CEO Haize, and I am joined always by my brother, the prodigal one, JB, whose birthday is fucking tomorrow. By the time you guys see this video, it'll be the day of JB's birthday. So happy birthday, JB.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. What's going on, film family? Glad to go ahead and get out of here. And I say get out of here, but we're actually locked in. Do another podcast.
Yeah, for sure. You getting any big booty bitches for your birthday?
Big booty bitches.
Yeah.
I don't know how my wife would feel about that. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask her when I'm down here. I'm listening. CJ was wondering, can I get big booty bitches? If your phone rings and you see my name, don't answer.
Fair enough, bro. Fair enough. But we on this episode, we got some news items to get into just over the course of the week, which, surprisingly, and we'll talk about this, like the US box office at all-time low, clearly, and stuff, but like considering there's not a lot of like productions or anything going on, there has been quite a bit of news over the last week. So you ready to hop into it?
Let's do it, bro.
All right, so the first one that we got, China reopened their movie theaters, and I think they played Avengers, they played Avatar, a lot of classical, a lot of big, huge blockbuster movies over the course of the last year. But they only did that for one weekend. They've already decided to close them back. I don't know if any new cases. I know at one point, like China hadn't had any new cases of coronavirus for like a 2 or 3 day stretch, but it probably seemed like a bit much to go right back into opening the theaters. What do you think, JB?
Yeah, I think they realized they pulled the trigger a little too quick on this one, and they're like, "Wait, hold up! Like there might be a second surge of this thing. Yeah. We don't want to risk that." And because people have been bottled up so much, people, regardless of what they're showing in the movie theaters, people are gonna go out, and we're gonna get into like our the U.S. part of that. What's gonna happen? We'll get into that in a minute, but people are just dying to get out. So I'm sure the theaters would have been filled, and they didn't want to run the risk of a second round of this. So I can understand, but from the reports I'm getting, they're warning people straight up, like, listen, we reopened when we shouldn't have. Don't expect us to reopen again in 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be a while before we reopen. So,
yeah, and I think that's going to go into like what the U.S. response to this is, because that's just too soon. Like, I get it. People are going to be excited for it. People are going to go out and see the movie, regardless of all of that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. You need to take more time. I would honestly I wouldn't be surprised if here America's a little more cautious if we don't have theaters reopen until we're like a month of no new cases.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I can for sure see that, because the minute they open, like I said, people are going to be flocking to the movie theater. So I think they're going to be caution, and they're going to hold out on that because they don't want to spread this thing. It's getting spread crazy already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of like after effects of not after effects, but the effects of coronavirus. So Mission Impossible 7, one of the movies that had to stop production due to the coronavirus. Actually, it's going to seem. It seems like it may be a little bit longer, or they may have to make adjustments to their story, because one of the countries that they were set to film in has serious coronavirus problems. So what do you think about like the story of Mission Impossible probably changing due to the coronavirus outbreak?
Yeah, so I mean, one of two things is going to have to happen. Either the story has to change or the location has to change. And based on the reports we're getting, it seems like an integral part of the movie is the location, which is Italy, Venice to be exact. Yeah. And obviously, as we know, Italy is getting hammered with the coronavirus. I mean, I think they're if I'm not mistaken, the number 3 country after us and China. Yeah. So they've halted production just like everywhere else in the world. But it's even worse for them because apparently Venice is supposed to play a big part in the storyline, and now I don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't seem, though, based on the reports, it doesn't seem like they're going to move location. So I think what we're going to get is just an extremely long delay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like I think in this day and age, like really, especially, I get it that Mission Impossible is almost primarily always filmed on location for whatever country they're supposed to be in. But at a time like this, like, why do you have to film in Italy? You can film in the studio. You can make it look like Italy. You can do a lot of different things rather than filming there and not have to change your story, especially if it's supposed to be a big part of the narrative. So I don't know. At this point, just to me, from the outside looking in, I'm not a studio exec. It just seems like they're stubborn with the fact of that they want to film in Italy, which, is this really a time to really be pushing something like this? What do you think I'm way off basis, JP?
A little bit. Let me tell you the only reason why.
Okay.
The only reason is it's hard to say because we don't know what the script is.
Mhm.
Now, I think what it is they're probably going to be using a lot of the landmarks in Venice or and in Italy altogether, and that's why. Like, just think about some movies in the past, and if it wasn't okay, I'm just trying to think of a movie that where the location, if you take out the location, then you don't have a movie. And that could be the fact here. Like maybe Italy is such a big part of the movie and the landmarks, because like you said, you can really shoot anywhere and make it look like Italy. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like Italy's this unique place that nowhere else looks like. You can find a ton of countries that
Oh
look
no, wait
just
a
like
second. Wait a
Italy.
second. Now that's where I consider home. So don't diss my country like that
Bro, before I
and
started
say
traveling so much, Italy was my dream vacation. And I
uh
went there and I loved Italy with all my heart. I love Italy. But you can find a lot of locations that look like Italy, and you can agree with that. The problem is the landmarks. You can't go anywhere and find like the Colosseum or the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I'm not saying that's going to be in the movie, but I'm just giving that as an example. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. No, and I understand it. I was just giving you some shit, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. It's just that, yeah, I like at this point, even if you want to use the landmarks, there's so many fucking ways you can go around it. Like
True.
they've
CGI.
built sets, CGI. They've built sets to like look like monuments before. There's a lot of different things you can do. But I mean, we're either looking at a long delay or a huge change to the story. My thing is like with Mission Impossible, I know the country they've always actually filmed in the countries that they've been in, but my thing is like even if you do have to change it and call audible instead of like using the landmarks of Italy, you can easily change it to another country with plenty of landmarks as well if you just want to do something like that.
Right, but we don't know how deep they are with, if they've
That's
bought
true.
different shit,
Yeah.
scenery, if they've booked stuff. We don't know how deep it is, but I can tell you right now, I guarantee this movie is not released in 2020. I don't care when. If the coronavirus
Oh
ended
no.
tomorrow, it's impossible because the fact that it's in Italy, which is one of the most hard hit places, there's no way this is getting a 2020 release.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely not. But let's move into the next bit of news. And this one, we're both super huge horror fans. Hell, this podcast started with us discussing horror exclusively. The Conjuring 3 is not going to be another haunted house movie, according to the writer. Now, the Conjuring movies have I mean, when you look at Ed and Lorraine Lauren, it makes sense that they've been haunted house movies. But when they've built out that Conjuring universe, there's been so many movies now set in the Conjuring universe. And Annabelle, the last one, was another haunted house movie. So I can see why they would want to do something different. And I honestly, I'm kind of excited to it. It's probably going to be the last one with the cast as we know it.
You think?
I really do because the guy who plays Ed Lauren, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but his career has really taken off in the last few years. And I think he's also like he's basically said he's kind of tired of, not in a negative way, but actors want to do different things.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last one. And give it a different flavor. Like haunted house, the haunted house thing is always going to be a staple in the horror film, but the Conjuring universe has gone so many different places. Like, yeah, I want to see these characters do something different.
Well, I for one, I'm excited because even though they only had like what two Conjuring movies,
Yeah.
I felt like it was getting stale because it's kind of you see these characters in the same thing over and over. So when I heard that they're taking a little bit of a different twist, kind of stepping away from the haunted house thing, I'm happy because I want to see these two characters in some different settings. So yeah, I'm definitely happy about that.
Yeah, yeah. So for sure, for sure. I have nothing. The Conjuring, not the universe, but the main Conjuring films, I like both of them. I like some of the spinoffs as well. Annabelle, the second Annabelle is definitely probably the best of the spinoff movies. Even the Nun, I really didn't hate. Some parts of the Nun are really really good. Overall, it's just kind of a why did it
Yeah,
happen movie.
we
Um,
reviewed that, I think.
yeah, we definitely did. So we'll see where it goes. I'm watching out for it. I don't hate it at all. But yeah, let's get into. We started this off talking about China, their movie theaters, their box office, and everything. We're gonna come back to the United States and how coronavirus is affecting here. This has been the first week in history that the United States box office had zero revenue, which is kind of surprising to me because there are still a lot of drive-throughs open, drive-in movie theaters open last week. So I wonder if some of those have closed now, because for the U.S. box office to have zero revenue, that's wild, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Yeah, clearly the no drive-through is open because it's literally zero. The only kind of revenue coming in was through drive-through. Uh Honestly, bro, real talk, I'm scared. I'm scared for these theaters because I don't know how long they're going to be able to survive. Some of these big ones might be able to last a month or so, but some
Hmm.
of these smaller theaters, I don't see how they're going to survive because they rely on it. It's their revenue, and there's been talks of theaters as big as AMC. This may put them out of business, if not at least shut down a lot of their locations. So it's disheartening, unfortunately. I feel for them, but it's a really shitty situation. What's going on?
Yeah, and I think too, like when you look at like some of not I don't want to call them mom and pop theaters, but like the dollar theaters, because like we had
Mm-hmm.
some in St. Louis, like those may never come back. Like they weren't making a huge amount of money anyway, but to go this long without revenue, I mean, unless these tax cuts or something's going to come and really save them and help them along, they're kind of fucked, unfortunately.
Now, let me ask you a question. I know this wasn't part of the topic, but you just
Hmm.
said something that kind of triggered this. We're hearing, we're hearing. There's going to be. I don't know if I want to use the word bailouts, but there's bailouts for. They're going to do cruise line bailouts and bailouts for like, they're going to help small businesses and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But nobody's talking about much recreational things. I know cruising is sort of recreational, but what about things like the movie theater? That doesn't necessarily fall under small business because AMC is not a freaking small business. Cinemark is not a small
Yeah.
business. What about the things that we enjoy, our recreational things? They're taking a hit too. I'm kind of. Do you think that no one's thinking about that? Should they not think about that? Priorities or what?
I think as this goes on more and more, and even after the fact, like just because they're not talking about it now doesn't mean that they won't as we start getting out of this. I think the important thing that they're focusing on right now are the normal Americans every day with the stimulus package, and then also small businesses because those are the ones who need the most help recovering. But I still think there is a chance when you look at like Universal Studios and Disney World and Disneyland, they've probably lost billions of dollars already combined. And
Yeah.
that's no understatement. Like how much Disneyland makes a day, I can only imagine what they make a day. And they've been closed at this point for what, 3 weeks, I think, at
It's been
least
about,
two.
yeah. I mean,
So
Orlando, the one in Orlando, they have the stay home thing going on right
yeah.
now.
So the fact that I do think there's going to be bailouts for those companies. Movie theaters, we'll see how that applies to it. And with all this talk, like the talk about Apple buying Disney is get back up because Disney stocks dropped again. There's probably going to be a bailout. I don't see the U.S. government not helping businesses in a situation like this, regardless of the size of the business, because this is something that you cannot plan for and that you're bound to lose money on every day. The whole United States economy is affected by this. So I think they'll eventually get bailouts, even if it's not talked about right now.
Yeah, I hope so. I like I said before, I think it's more of a priority thing. They're gonna start at the top and work their way down the list. Eventually, it'll probably get around to it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Our last news topic for today. This one is the movie theaters, and we talked about China. They reopened too soon, but movie theaters here are considering um having people come in and be able to view movies or free showings for to kind of get people used and feel safe in coming back out and seeing movies and shit. What do you think about this? Do you think this is a good idea? For me, looking at a industry that's already losing billions of dollars, it just seems weird that you would want to do anything for free, at least this early on. But at the same time, I can understand it from a trying to help the American population get over the stigma that I'm sure a lot of people are going to face with going out back out in public places right away.
So one of the things that I do by day, I do sales coaching, which we talked about in your other podcast, obviously, but I'm a sales and marketing manager as well. And when we're talking marketing here, 100%, I believe that's the right way to go because people are going to be concerned. People are going to be worried still. So why not? I'm not. It's not going to happen for like a whole month, but why not choose 2 weeks or 2 weekends even, and just show movies? And they don't have to show any new movies. I think China did the right thing by showing some of these old,
Hmm.
quote unquote classics. You want to call them that? Do that. Have 2 weekends where you do that. Get people into the habit of going out again, taking their girlfriends, their boyfriends out, their kids, their family, getting some popcorn. So get into the habit of going back out again into theaters, and then after that 2 or 3 week run, then you start bringing back out the new movies, and then you start charging, because you have to ease people into it. I think if they just open and say, okay, we're coming out with like Fast and the Furious 9, everyone come right now, people are gonna be like, I don't know. And then also the movies that are coming out, it's super risky on their part too, because they may be taking a hit. Why not have sort of a soft opening and show free movies? Why not get everybody into the habit of going out again?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it from that. Like, not any new showings. Like, if you just, because for example, like there's like the community center and stuff will like have a movie night where they'll like show on a projector a movie or whatnot. So like do something like that. Have people just come out. Like for example, Onward, a movie that was in box office and then had to come out because of the corona. Now it's on VOD. Hell, open back up saying, hey, we know you've been seeing it on VOD. We're gonna show a free showing. Come see it on the big screen. Get your popcorn. Just hang out. Yeah, that would
And
make sense.
and I think too, they could probably get away with just opening, like, keep the concessions as a pay thing. Like, you
Yeah.
still have to, the movie is free, the concessions is not. Or maybe they can do some sort of thing like where you get like a small popcorn, and
Yeah.
no one's just going to get a small popcorn. They're going to get a drink. They're going to get blah 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 blah. So they'll be able to at least generate some revenue. But the key part of that is get the traffic going again.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, that's it that we have for news. We want to thank you guys for checking us out. To talk about news, we're gonna go ahead and bid Sarnar. Is that how you say it? Marinara? How you say
No,
it?
no,
I know.
marinara is a
I'm
sauce.
just talking shit. I'm just talking shit. Go ahead and give me your social media, JB.
I can be reached on Facebook, Javid Bashrula, and also I can be reached on Twitter at the P1JB. That's at THEP1JB. And what sauce you got, bro?
I am the sauce, bro. That's period point blank. But you can follow me at CEO Haize, CEO Haize. You can follow us collectively at the Film Bros Pod. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, the Film Frequency Pod at gmail.com. And make sure you go out and check our Facebook discussion group, The Film Frequency, where we talk about TV, film, news, everything there. So definitely check that out as well. We are the Film Bros, your professionally unprofessional film critics, and we are out. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.